Hey everyone, welcome back to Edgeverse. Or if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now because we're diving into some heavy but super important stuff today. Imagine this. Blue-helmeted soldiers arrive in a war-torn country meant to protect civilians, stop the fighting, and bring peace. They're backed by the United Nations, billions of dollars, and the best intentions in the world. But what if I told you that, in many cases, these peacekeeping missions actually make the conflict worse? They escalate violence, create economic chaos, and sometimes even turn locals against them. That's the global paradox we're unpacking today. Why do UN peacekeeping missions, designed to extinguish conflicts, often end up igniting more fire? Stick with me for the next 8 minutes as we break down the evidence, look at real-world examples, and talk about what a better approach might look like. This is based on solid research, including recent studies showing how these interventions can backfire. Let's start with the basics. UN peacekeeping has been around since 1948. Today, there are about 11 active missions with around 60,000 personnel, and the annual budget is roughly $5.4 billion. The idea is simple. Neutral forces with the consent of all parties monitor ceasefires, protect civilians, and create space for peace talks. Early successes? Absolutely, like in Namibia, Mozambique, and El Salvador. But then came the failures: Somalia, Rwanda, Bosnia. And fast forward to now, missions in places like the Central African Republic, South Sudan, and the Democratic Republic of Congo are struggling big time. In fact, no brand new full peacekeeping mission has been launched in over a decade because of geopolitical gridlock in the Security Council. So, what's the core paradox? Peacekeeping used to be about neutral observation, lightly armed troops watching ceasefire lines with everyone's consent. But modern conflicts are messy: insurgencies, non-state actors, no clear ceasefires. To deal with that, mandates evolved in the 90s and 2000s toward robust peacekeeping. That means bigger forces, offensive capabilities, and explicit orders to protect civilians using all necessary means. Sounds good, right? But here's the problem. It turns peacekeepers into partial combatants. They often align with the host government against rebels. Suddenly, they're not neutral anymore. Rebels see them as enemies, locals lose trust, and violence spikes. Research shows that biased interventions, especially those supporting governments against rebels, consistently increase battle deaths, both during the mission and after it ends. Neutral ones? They sometimes help reduce violence. But biased, robust ones? They fuel the fire. Why? Simple incentives. If external forces tip the balance toward one side, that side has less reason to negotiate. Why compromise when you're winning with UN backup? Rhetorical question. If a superpower backed your enemy in a fight, would you lay down your arms? Now, let's talk local ripple effects. Peacekeepers bring money, jobs, and demand for goods. Great for some, but it distorts everything. Inflation skyrockets, food, housing. Basics become unaffordable for ordinary people. Black markets thrive as supplies leak. High UN wages pull skilled workers away from local institutions. And dependency. Locals start relying on peacekeepers for security instead of building their own. Worst part? Legitimacy crumbles. Scandals, failure to protect civilians, perceived bias, all lead to resentment. We've seen massive protests demanding missions leave. Then there are feedback loops. Peacekeepers become targets, drawing more attacks. Their presence can unify fractious groups against foreign invaders. Aid convoys get hijacked, arms proliferate from leaked supplies. In DRC, the UN's Force Intervention Brigade went offensive against militias alongside government forces. Result? Atrocities by those government forces actually increased. Let's look at case studies. First, Somalia in the early 90s. Humanitarian crisis, famine. US-led forces, then UN, came in to secure aid. But clans turned it into anti-foreign insurgency. The Black Hawk Down battle in 1993, 18 Americans killed, showed how peacekeepers became the enemy. Withdrawal left chaos that lasted decades. Then, the Democratic Republic of Congo. UN presence since 1999, over 25 years, massive resources, robust mandates. Yet conflict rages on in the east with M23 rebels escalating recently. Protests against the mission turned deadly, and while withdrawal plans were paused, the mandate just got extended to 2026 amid ongoing violence. Locals in government often see it as ineffective or sovereign infringement. Other failures: Rwanda, too weak to stop genocide. Bosnia, Srebrenica massacre under UN watch. But wait, is all peacekeeping doomed? Some studies show larger missions correlate with less violence and more rebel cooperation. The catch? Correlation isn't causation. Missions go to the toughest spots. The key differentiator: neutrality works better. Biased, robust ones escalate. So why does this keep happening? Institutional dilemmas. The UN wants to protect civilians, but also respect sovereignty. Robust mandates violate neutrality to do the former. Geopolitics. Permanent members veto or block new missions. Mismatch. Old school peacekeeping for interstate wars applied to today's fragmented insurgencies. What's the way forward? A paradigm shift. Away from big military impositions toward local empowerment. Support indigenous peace mechanisms, traditional leaders, community groups. Build local capacity, address root causes like poverty, governance failures. Limited, neutral roles. Monitor ceasefires, facilitate talks, with clear exit strategies. Strategic humility. Accept that outsiders can impose peace if locals aren't committed. Sustainable peace is built from within, with international help as facilitator, not substitute. In conclusion, the paradox is real. Well-intentioned peacekeeping often escalates conflict through bias, dependency, and lost legitimacy. But evidence points to better paths: neutrality, local ownership, root cause focus. The UN is facing a crisis, with shrinking missions and funding squeezes. Time for real rethinking. What do you think? Is UN peacekeeping broken beyond repair, or can it evolve? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. If this video made you think, smash that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into global issues, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay curious. See you in the next video.